Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell is suing President Donald Trump.
California is suing the Trump administration over all those federal job cuts.
4 students in 3 tribal nations are now suing the Trump administration.
And a former Veterans Affairs employee is suing the Trump administration after she was fired last week.
Already, 18 states, that's right, 18 states, the District of Columbia and San Francisco have filed lawsuits in federal courts to block Trump's order.
Hi again, everybody. It's 5 o'clock in New York. A flurry of legal action and lawsuits in the infancy of Donald Trump's second presidency. Only 52 days in, and according to the latest count by Just Security, there have been 121 legal challenges to the new Trump administration so far. Lawsuits against his executive orders on immigration, against his sweeping firings of federal workers, against his decision to give Elon Musk and Elon Musk's Doge team nearly unfettered access to government systems and personal data. Orders against his dismantling of government agencies and much more. Signal after signal of what is at best a complete disregard for the rule of law and at worst a full-on assault of the laws of the land, the laws that govern our country and everybody in it on the part of the leader of it. Many of the legal challenges have overturned or paused the brazen efforts of the Trump administration. Just today, we saw a judge rule that the firings by Trump's White House of thousands of probationary federal employees was a, quote, sham, and order that those workers be rehired. When the law doesn't go Trump's way, we know that his reflex is to cry foul, to say that the rule of law has been weaponized against him, claims we are very likely to see tomorrow. Axios is reporting that Donald Trump is, quote, planning an unusual visit to the Justice Department to speak about his administration's plans on restoring law and order. But when it comes to his attacks on the rule of law, his latest targeting of the lawyers and litigators themselves breaks new ground and crosses a red line of sorts. Trump's use of the federal government to punish private, individual-specific law firms that have represented clients in the past that Trump doesn't like or who beat Trump in court is drawing harsh and unanimous criticism from legal experts. According to new reporting today in the New York Times, Samuel Buell, a longtime professor of law at Duke University and a former federal prosecutor, says this, quote, "This is certainly the biggest affront to the legal profession in my lifetime." Daniel Richman, also a former federal prosecutor and a law professor at Columbia University, says this, quote, "If you're a political enemy, you really need the best representation when the government comes after you for who you are. Chilling the lawyers who represent those people hurts the rule of law because when the government can't be legally opposed, the law provides no protections to anyone, and you start to live in an autocracy." Trump's systematic dismantling of the rule of law in America and why that matters to everyone is where we start the hour with our dear friend, former federal judge Michael Luttig, who is back at the table. MSNBC legal analyst Andrew Weissmann is here as well. Judge, welcome back.
Thank you, Nicole, and thank you for having me, and thank you for your courageous defense of the Constitution and rule of law. None of us ever thought that we would be called upon to defend and support our Constitution and rule of law, much less so that it would require courage to do so. But these are the times that we live in.
It's dumb that it does, right? I mean, it's just a dumb thing that people that it takes some courage. But I think this move, and we should say that these developments, I think, help to persuade you to speak out anew in the second term. Talk about why the targeting of law firms is such an affront and such a danger to the rule of law.
Nicole, even before the president assumed office, he had essentially declared war on the rule of law. And in the first 50 days of his administration, he has opened that war on multiple fronts across the country, as your viewers know. In the past several weeks, however, he's really launched a full frontal assault on the Constitution, the rule of law, our system of justice and the entire legal profession. The 1.2 million lawyers in this country are the trustees, if you will, of the rule of law, with the federal judiciary being the constitutional guardian of the rule of law. In these latest executive orders by the president, executive orders that targeted two of the most prestigious law firms in America, Perkins Coie and Covington and Burling, targeting them, as you said, because they had represented clients in the past who the president just didn't like, is one of the most sinister of the executive orders that the president has entered to date, of the many that we expect him to enter in the coming days. And he followed these executive orders with an interview on Fox News, I believe, where he said that he is going to go after a large number of other law firms across the country, and we can expect him to make good on that promise. But it's the fact that he is doing this, in retaliation and retribution for these firms representing the clients that they have, is what makes these executive orders so sinister. Americans need to understand that the President of the United States is constitutionally charged with the faithful execution of the laws. And the President of the United States, has no authority whatsoever under the Constitution of the United States to issue executive orders targeting anyone, any individual, any organization, any group, and certainly not individual law firms and lawyers, because he doesn't like them.
When he attacked this law firm, it's called Perkins Coie, the New York Times is reporting today that they went to a law firm that does a lot of Trump-friendly business. And they represent the Trump org. They represent Eric Adams in the case that has gone the Trump administration's way. It's purged some Federalist Society attorneys, Daniel Sisson and others, from the department, which is a tragedy on the rule of law side, but it's almost become normal in these days. And that firm said no. What happens when firms in good standing with Trump refuse to confront Trump about something that is flagrantly outside the bounds of the rule of law?
Well, it's regrettable. But in this moment, it's unforgivable. This is a frontal assault on the legal profession and the rule of law, and the lawyers writ large across the country. Of course, many of those lawyers and firms are scared to death, and they're running for the tall grass, as they say. That cannot be. That's exactly what the president wants. And every one of these law firms has to look in the mirror, and they have to understand that the president may well be going after them tomorrow, where he went after Perkins Coie and Covington Burling yesterday. And the American people need to understand, too, that what the president has done in issuing those executive orders targeting the law firms, he could just as easily do to them individually. In fact, that's the motive for him doing this to the law firms, is so that American citizens will not be able to get legal representation when they have a dispute with the federal government.
Yeah, explain.